Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We're going to start with a nice little light story today. It's one that pleases me no end because it will annoy and somewhat, embarrass perhaps Humza Yousaf. He's been given the elbow, the cold shoulder. He's been told that he is unwanted. And this will annoy him really because it means that there's something major going on in the very heart of Scotland, in Edinburgh, in Balmoral, and this is something that's going to happen and to which he has not only not been invited but he's actively not wanted, because it's an annual sort of traditional thing. Up until now it was the Queen that did it, but now Charles is doing it, the King is going, and he spends like a long weekend in Balmoral, has a little sort of a weekend break up in Balmoral, and during that break he traditionally meets the Prime Minister. Now, the Prime Minister now, not the First Minister. And so off he goes. Charles is tootling off up to Scotland, up to Balmoral. He's going to have a little sort of respite and a break and whatever, because it's very hard doing nothing all day. And he's going to meet with Rishi Sunak. And they'll sit there and discuss, and they'll have their usual kind of meeting that they do, State of the Nation stuff, see what's going on, what's planned, what his plans for things are. And, of course, all this will be happening under the nose of Humza Yousaf, who will be a couple of miles down the road, looking over the fence like, ooh, what's going on, but not being present. It used to annoy Nicola Sturgeon, that's for sure. And so now it'll be Humza Yousaf. And although all his claims of being an anti-monarchist, Republican and all this, he didn't half get his feet down to London quick when there was a chance of going to the Queen's funeral, or not the Queen's funeral, the Charles's coronation, because it was still Nicola Sturgeon, wrong Nicola. Nicola Sturgeon when the Queen died, of course. But he hightailed it down to London for the coronation because all those claims about being a Republican somewhat disappear and dissipate and evaporate when you get a chance of getting your feet under the high table, as it were. And that's what he did. And so having the King there and him not invited will grate quite a bit. But we'll have a look at this story. It's not a big thing, it's just there. But I just thought it's a nice way of starting the day. A little bit of good news, a little bit of rub your face in it, Humza. And just to show that the people that really matter don't care. Here goes. So, Balmoral to host King Charles and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak meeting this weekend. And the visit to the royal estate comes ahead of Parliament returning from its recess on Monday. And a busy agenda they'll have there too. And there's going to be a lot more happening behind the scenes. Both Westminster and, of course, Holyrood. We've got a story coming up in a little while, so do keep an eye out for that. About plans that are afoot in Holyrood. But yeah, so anyway, Rishi's gone up there. Mowgli's gone to meet Shere Khan, as it were, and they've gone up there to Scotland, to Balmoral, to do this. So Prime Minister Rishi Sunak are expected to meet with the King during the weekend trip to Balmoral Castle. The visit to the royal estate comes ahead of Parliament returning from recess on Monday, and it is not uncommon for a sitting Prime Minister to visit Balmoral with the late Queen, creating the tradition of inviting the incumbent Prime Minister, that is, to Scotland for a weekend in the summer. Although, we could have better weather for it, perhaps. But, it is what it is. And it's very nice they go up there and they stay for the weekend together. You'll have to break, so it'll be up there and have a meal together and whatever. And they discuss the affairs of state, and it's all very high-powered and that. And then they go off, and apparently traditionally on the Sunday, of course, that they go to the church service together. The Queen, very religious as she was, and whoever the Prime Minister of the day was, would join her in the chapel there for church service. Now, obviously, we don't know if that will happen with Rishi. He may turn up out of politeness, but obviously not join in with all the incantations, spells, and wizardry that goes on in such places. But it's probably he probably would do it out of politeness, I think. Humza Yousaf, of course, wouldn't. He would absolutely refuse to go into a church. Whereas I think Rishi probably would go in. Not my God, not my beliefs, but it's a nice building, and I'll look while other people susurrate their incantations and do the cannibalism bit. Anyway, the late Queen's meeting with the then Liz Truss was held in the Green Drawing Room at Balmoral days before her death in 2022, with the last ever public picture of the then monarch taken during the visit. And if you remember, that was the one that led to all the speculation, because you could see on the... Let me bring up. So the Queen was... I'll do it with this wrist. So the Queen was there, and you could see all here was all like the bruising down the back of the hand on the Queen. And everyone was sort of concerned that she'd had a fall or something, but of course they didn't realise at the time that she had massive carcinogenic problems. It metastasised, and she had massive bone cancer. That's where she was very, very frail, of course. Excuse me, and of course she died just a few days later. And it's a shame, and I miss the Queen. It's a shame, because I was hoping she'd beat the record for the longest monarch ever, and she was very close, and unfortunately didn't. But I think the biggest shame, of course, was Liz Truss, the worst and shortest Prime Minister we've ever had. If the Queen would have hung on another sort of few weeks, she'd have had Boris as her last meeting. I think that would have been slightly better. But, it is what it is. You have to put up with these things. It's funny, isn't it? Meet Liz Truss. Diary entry, wasn't it, from the Queen? Met Liz Truss, so depressed, decided to die, Anyway, former Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his wife Carrie visited the Aberdeenshire estate around the same time the year before, and the late Queen met with their son Wilfred for the first time. Charles and Queen Camilla are currently seeing out their summer holidays at the royal estate, with Mr Sunak's visit set to coincide with the Braemar gathering nearby on Saturday. Charles, of course, will be wearing his kilt. He does like to get everything out and dangling. William, not so. William refuses to wear a kilt, doesn't he? I don't know if it's a prude or anything. I think it's just something that he just doesn't like wearing, and that's fine. Nobody's forcing you to do it. Most time you see a kilt, of course, it's English people getting married, isn't it? Anyway, the event is considered a favourite of the royals, with Charles regularly in attendance alongside his late mother over the years. And there we go. That's basically it for the article. Now, of course, I said in the beginning it was near Edinburgh. Of course, I wasn't thinking that was Holyrood, for heaven's sake, David. Obviously, this is Aberdeenshire. This is up in the Highlands there. But it's one of those. I went past Balmoral once, and it was surprisingly bigger than I thought it was going to be. But it's what he does. It's part of the regular sort of the circus, the travelling circus that is the royal family. And God bless them. I mean, I don't care. I'd rather have a royal family than the likes of President Blair, for Christ's sake. At least they're trained for it and generally don't put their foot in it. But it is what it is. But the point being, of course, that Humza Yousaf not invited, and that weren't half annoying. Anyway, I should round up and come up. We'll finish this video. Well, wish them both luck. Let's hope they have a nice weekend and relax and calm and start the new term. Because apparently Mowgli's going up to the big school this year. He'll soon be out as leader. And of course it won't take long and he'll be bumped up to the House of Lords. I think this will possibly be his last session as Tory leader. I think they've had enough, and I think there may well be rumblings of discontent. And certainly I think there'll be rumblings of discontent within Holyrood. And I think this is also possibly Humza Yousaf's last start of term as well. He too will be bumped, but not up, simply out. And I think that come the conference, there'll be a change. I think the conference in October for the SNP will be somewhat boisterous, shall we say. And I think it will result in a lot of changes. Certainly the Greens may well be out. And if that goes, I think therefore Humza Yousaf will also be history. Anyway, we should look forward to see what's happening. Thank you very much for watching. I told you it was a nice little fluffy piece, and I just thought it would annoy Humza Yousaf, so worth the doing. We've got some serious news coming up next, so do hit the subscribe button to keep up. With the next video is going to be talking about the major problem with short-term lets. There's two pieces now. There's two articles we're going to flick, which I'm not doing two separate pieces, just put them together. But it's a lot more serious than people realise, and it's going to cause massive problems. So keep an eye out for that one. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and remember, there's only 968 days to go until we get the election to get rid of the SNP totally. Here's counting. Bye.